The Weston State Penitentiary, considered to be one of the most haunted buildings in the world.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the creepiest and most unsettling places in the entire world.
It's so remote, extremely dry, cold conditions. It's just not a great place to be.
Number 50, the Bermuda Triangle, the Atlantic Ocean.
As the losses have piled up, the area has become infamous, legendary worldwide even. Everyone knows about the Bermuda Triangle, but yet nobody knows what's going on over there.
All right, we know that the Bermuda Triangle isn't actually cursed, but the mythology certainly makes an impression, doesn't it? As kids, we were taught to fear the Bermuda Triangle, an area of the Atlantic Ocean that is said to swallow planes and boats through some type of interdimensional portal. Or something, we don't really know. Point is, a lot of people have supposedly gone missing within the triangle thanks to some type of creepy magic. The legend is so pronounced and persistent that many regulatory bodies have conducted studies disproving it. But those three words, the Bermuda Triangle, are still enough to send shivers down the spine.
In fact, according to Philippe's records, there are wrecks completely encircling Bermuda.
Number 49, Pyongyang, North Korea.
Well, this is an extremely rare experience inside North Korea. And we've already been warned numerous times that we'll be monitored and critiqued the whole time that we're here.
The capital of North Korea is less living, breathing city and more lifeless movie set. It really is something. Streets are largely devoid of vehicles or pedestrians. Gigantic monuments to dictators dominate the skyline, and propaganda posters litter the walls. Much of Pyongyang also feels curated, as visitors are strictly chaperoned and intensely scrutinized. Then there are the weird buildings, some of which are staged for tourists or just outright empty, like the looming Ryugyong Hotel, which has sat unfinished for decades. Oh, and if you step a toe out of line, you are in deep, deep trouble. Pyongyang is like a ghost town in the unsettling guise of a modern city.
The country is spotlessly clean. There's no graffiti, no street advertising except for state propaganda, and surprisingly, very few cars.
Number 48, the wreck of the Titanic, Atlantic Ocean.
To see the sad ruin of the great ship sitting here, where she landed at 2:30 in the morning of April 15th, 1912, after her long fall from the world above.
If you fear deep water, thalassophobia if you're fancy, then you probably can't even look at the wreck of the Titanic. It lies over 12,000 feet below the Atlantic, and its massive structure just sits there in the dark and silent deep, a rusting underwater graveyard. Its rotting mass is an unbelievably eerie sight, just sitting there in the pitch black. Even worse, human objects like shoes, suitcases, and dishes still sit scattered on the seabed, frozen in time, making the monument feel even more ghostly. And for the more philosophical, there's the uncanny contrast between its contemporary symbol of wealth and its current state of ruin. There's a haunting sadness about the whole thing.
Seeing her coming out of the darkness like a ghost ship still gets me every time.
Number 47, the Australian Outback, Australia.
Australia. It's the only nation to occupy an entire continent. It's the most flat and the second driest place on the planet. And even though it has rainforests, snowfields, and lush garden ecosystems, it's undeniably known best for its deserts, also called the Outback.
It's hard to imagine just how massive the Australian outback actually is. This thing preys on the likes of psychology, fears of the unknown, and base survival instincts, being a vast and barren expanse of nothing. You could show us a picture of the outback and a picture of Mars, and we wouldn't know the difference. It often feels like an endless void where everything looks the same, and with no ambient noise save the likes of rustling brush and distant animal calls, it can feel incredibly uneasy. Giant spiders, venomous snakes, and dingoes prowl the landscape, abandoned villages dot the roads, and then there's the most palpable fear of all, that if something goes wrong, you are truly on your own.
I thought the grass would be greener on the other side, and now I'm in a place that just reeks of death. The grub hunting is lousy, the water's bad, there's no shade. The flies are worse, and there aren't any yabbies at all here to eat.
Number 46, Hiljainen Kansa, Finland. An extremely creepy art installation, Hiljainen Kansa means the silent people, and the name could not be more apt. It's found in the barren region of central Finland, about 30 kilometers outside the village of Suomussalmi. The installation consists of hundreds of scarecrows dressed in human clothes, arranged in rows across a remote field. Just imagine coming across this thing while driving and having no idea it was there. At first glance, the scarecrows resemble a motionless crowd of people, which can feel especially creepy in foggy weather or the dark. Visitors often describe the scene as if the figures are silently watching them, or perhaps waiting for something unknown. Number 45. Tuol Sleng, Cambodia.
Painful reminders of Cambodia's genocide during the late 1970s are not hard to find in the country's capital. Here in Phnom Penh, one of the most heinous crimes perpetrated by the Khmer Rouge regime is on display.
Nestled inside Phnom Penh is the Tuol Sleng Museum, or as it was once called, Security Prison 21. Once a secondary school, the building was converted into a detention center under the Khmer Rouge regime in the mid-1970s. Between 1975 and 1979, thousands of men, women, and children were imprisoned here, and the building now stands as a sober reminder of the country's dark past. The rooms still bear the likes of iron bed frames, shackles, and even bloodstains, and the walls are lined with chilling photographs of past prisoners, their expressions ranging from abject fear to reluctant resignation. Walking its sordid halls is an experience unlike any other.
Classrooms were turned into cells in Tuol Sleng prison. The Memory and Justice Centre estimates more than 18,000 people were killed over the period of 4 years. Many of them appearing in these photographs are still documented as missing.
Number 44. Whittier, Alaska, the United States of America.
We are in the Whittier Community School. It is connected by an underground tunnel to the building that we all live in.
Wandering into the Alaskan town of Whittier is like wandering into another dimension. Found nearly 60 miles southeast of Anchorage, Whittier feels insanely creepy because almost the entire population lives inside a single building, the Bagach Towers, a stark concrete structure that looms over the otherwise desolate town. Inside the towers, residents share not only apartments but essentials like a grocery store and post office, creating an uncanny all-in-one environment that may come across as unsettling to outsiders. And surrounded by foggy mountains and accessible by just one tunnel, the dark and isolated setting only adds to its eerie atmosphere. The empty streets and looming presence of one singular building where everyone lives can feel like something out of a nightmare.
You know, the tunnel creates its own sort of isolation in that it closes every night at 10:30.
Trying to explain to visitors or people who aren't from there, like, no, we really have to go. If we don't go, we're not going to get into Whittier right now. Like, we need to go. It is an interesting, strange place to live, but it's also full of love and full of adventure and some really cool people.
Number 43. Eastern State Penitentiary, the United States of America.
Well, there was a metal door on the inside and a wooden door on the outside. So the metal door would have swung closed, and the sliding wooden door keeps them from talking across the hall.
That would drive you insane. That would make you go crazy.
That's what happened.
There's nothing like a giant rotting prison to get the blood pumping. Opened in 1829, the famous Philadelphia prison was one of the first to use solitary confinement as punishment, leaving behind stories of suffering and psychological torment. Naturally, this has led to its now famous reputation as a haunted prison. But even if you don't believe in ghosts, there's still plenty to find spooky about Eastern State. The imposing stone walls, crumbling cell blocks, and rusting iron doors create a palpably eerie feeling, and visitors are often left unsettled by its long and silent corridors. It's one thing to see it on TV. It's something else to walk through its hallowed and probably haunted halls. Eastern State stands as a decayed relic of a barbaric past.
Eastern State's often known as the world's first true penitentiary, and what that means is a building designed to inspire regret. And a big part of how the prison officials did that was, again, through architecture. The outside of the building resembles a Gothic castle. It's scary, it's intimidating.
Number 42. Skull Tower, Serbia.
No. That girl is not ready to become no one. But she's ready to become someone else.
You know those giant pillars of faces in Game of Thrones? Well, that's kind of a real thing. We're talking about Serbia's Celikula, or Skull Tower. Constructed in 1809 by the Ottoman Empire after the Battle of Chegar, the tower was made with the skulls of Serbian rebels who died in the skirmish. 952 skulls were originally embedded into the structure's walls as a brutal warning to discourage further uprisings. Today, only about 50 skulls remain, but they still have the power to provoke complete and utter fear. The sight of real human remains stacked together in a giant wall is obviously unsettling. But beyond its physical appearance, the tower serves as a chilling symbol of conquest. Yeah, it's pretty darn creepy. Number 41. Edinburgh Castle, Scotland.
Edinburgh Castle sits on a volcanic plug called Castle Rock that towers over the Scottish capital. It's one of the most visited historical attractions in Scotland, and it's a site that neither locals nor visitors can get enough of.
Take a trip over to Europe and you'll find buildings older than some countries. That is certainly the case with Edinburgh Castle, which dates back to the 11th century. The fortress has witnessed centuries of bloodshed and executions, and prisoners were once held in its dank dungeons, where cramped cells and iron chains left lasting marks. And maybe some ghosts. The castle is world-renowned for its ghost haunts and historic tours, with tales of violence abounding. But even ignoring its dark history, Edinburgh Castle is an imposing beast. A dark stone fortress perched mightily atop Castle Rock and overlooking the ancient city that it protects. It's just begging you to attack it.
You know, no matter where you are in Edinburgh, there's the castle. You know, you can see it as you're sort of walking in between the neighborhoods and between the streets and between the buildings. You know, you see it almost sort of following you around.
Number 40. The Amazon Rainforest, South America.
Except for the snaking waters of the Las Piedras River, these rainforest treetops stretch unbroken for hundreds of miles.
If you want to experience true wilderness, look no further than the Amazon rainforest, an endless expanse of trees and rivers. It reminds us of a bygone era. The towering trees are incredibly dense, and often to the point of blocking out sunlight and creating an oppressive atmosphere. It's also alive with constant sounds, whether it's distant animals, buzzing insects, and rustles from its countless venomous and dangerous inhabitants. The unknown plays a large role too. Scientists estimate that millions of species remain undiscovered within its borders, and entire regions are still unexplored. Add in the legends of lost civilizations and spirits, and you've got one seriously otherworldly place. And you thought the woods next to your house were creepy.
The clock is ticking for those mysteries that still remain hidden within the trees, because such wild places could soon be worlds of fiction.
Number 39. Area 51, the United States of America.
Groom Lake is the Area 51 region in Nevada. When Area 51 was just bare bones, they took the craft and the aliens out to that location in the middle of the Nevada desert because it was so remote.
Countless myths, stories, legends, tales, whatever you want to call them, have been made about Area 51. The alien capital of America, the secret base is said to be closely associated with ufology, either housing aliens, conducting otherworldly experiments, reverse engineering UFOs, or whatever else. But even without the folklore, Area 51 is one creepy place. Such is often the case with restricted areas and forbidden access. Deeply hidden in the Nevada desert, surrounded by threatening signs and armed patrols, and with its secret operations being strictly classified and hidden from public view, Area 51 fuels the imagination like no other place on Earth.
Now, while you were working there, did you ever see anything weird up in the sky?
Oh, absolutely. Planes that no one else has ever seen. They had no wings, just flying bathtub. You see something like that, it looks just like a flying saucer.
Number 38. The Black Forest, Germany.
Dense evergreen forests, over 6,000 kilometers of natural landscapes and picturesque villages. Welcome to the Black Forest of Germany.
Schwarzwald, or the Black Forest, has long been renowned for its eerie, almost otherworldly atmosphere. Its dense canopy of towering evergreens blocks much of the sunlight, leaving the forest floor in deep shadows even at high noon. Mist often lingers between the trees, adding a beautiful but undeniably mystical quality. Local folklore only amplifies this feeling. Centuries of German fairy tales place witches and monsters within its trees, and the scattered, abandoned medieval settlements give off a bygone storybook atmosphere, like the characters could have lived there at one point in time. This mixture of natural gloom and mythic storytelling makes the Black Forest a place where the boundary between reality and legend constantly feels blurred. Don't explore it alone.
I be the witch of the wood.
Liar, liar.
I am.
Listen not to her, Mercy.
I am that very witch. When I sleep, my spirit slips away from my body and dances naked with the devil.
Number 37. North Sentinel Island, the Bay of Bengal.
Various tribal groups of Andamanese on the islands. The Sentinelese, they're the last ones who resist contact.
Nestled in the Bay of Bengal is North Sentinel Island, which is one of the last places on Earth untouched by modern civilization. The island is home to the Sentinelese, a voluntarily isolated tribe that has resisted all outside contact for centuries. Attempts to approach are met with fierce hostility, with arrows and spears often shot at outsiders and their vehicles. People have actually died attempting to contact this tribe and reach the island's prohibited shores. And as almost nothing is known about the tribe's language or culture, the mystery only deepens. It is a forbidden place where humanity's ancient past still thrives, untouched and fiercely protected.
An American man has been killed by members of a protected tribe in the Andaman Islands. John Allen Chow was a Christian missionary. He was killed with bows and arrows and his body left on the beach.
Number 36, Yulchin, Russia. It's amazing how fast a city's fortunes can turn. In 1989, Yulchin, near the northeastern peak of Russia, was a mining hub housing over 5,000 people. By 1995, it was a ghost town. Yulchin was liquidated shortly after the dissolution of the Soviet Union, and its residents abandoned the settlement almost overnight, leaving behind schools, apartments, machinery, and personal belongings literally frozen in time. The isolation, combined with the crumbling Soviet-era architecture and snow-covered ruins, creates a post-apocalyptic atmosphere you have to see to believe. There were even reports that the town's utilities were shut off before all of the residents could move out, leaving them stranded in the harsh Arctic tundra. Number 35, the Kola Superdeep Borehole, Russia.
The borehole beat the world record in 1979. It was almost 40,000 feet below the surface, which is an amazingly deep distance when you think about it. The Marianas Trench, which is the deepest place in the ocean, is not even near that deep.
What is the Kola Superdeep Borehole, you may ask? Well, it's a hole. It's super deep, and it's in Russia. Back in the 1970s, the Soviet Union thought, how deep into the Earth can we drill? And conducted the experiment. By 1989, they had gone over 40,000 feet into the planet's crust, making the deepest human-made hole ever made. It's freaky more in theory than practice. Knowing that there's a hole that goes 40,000 feet down is just brain-breaking. That's airplane cruising altitude. That's 11,000 feet more than Mount Everest. That's 15 Burj Khalifas. Even the site itself is quite creepy these days. While the hole has been welded shut, the surrounding building has fallen into significant disrepair.
Concrete buildings laid derelict with twisted wreckage, smashed and scattered equipment. And at the center of it, one building looks like it's been ripped apart.
Number 34, Lake Lanier, the United States of America.
Even though there was a lot of people around, there was just some strange vibe about the lake. I feel it's a majestic body of water, but you can't deny that there's something odd about Lake Lanier.
On the surface, Georgia's Lake Lanier is just another body of water, but look a little deeper, literally, and you'll see something truly creepy. Before the 1950s, the surrounding area was just everyday farmland and housed multiple small towns, including Oscarville. But the rapid growth of nearby Atlanta necessitated more water, so the Army Corps constructed Lake Lanier. In the process, they evacuated and then completely flooded these small towns, and without demolishing them first. So laying underneath the surface of the water are the skeletal remains of homes, roads, and businesses. Many locals now believe that Lanier is haunted, the ghostly hands pulling swimmers down to join their watery graves.
Also beneath the surface, old homes, barns, even a racetrack, which famously surfaced during the 2007 drought. You could see the tops of the stands, a haunted memory, waiting for spectators to show up for the next race.
Number 33, Weston State Hospital, the United States of America.
The grand old dame still stands.
So are you ready to go inside?
It's going to be very emotional to do this.
Drive through central West Virginia and you won't find much of note, but nestled within the endless trees is the small town of Weston, and there you will find one of the most gorgeous buildings in America, also one of the scariest. It's Weston State Hospital, which housed patients for over a century between 1864 and 1994. The building's old Gothic architecture is incredibly imposing, striking both awe and fear before you even step foot through its doors. The place also has a dark history of mental health treatment, including overcrowding, filthy conditions, and electroshock therapy, contributing to its reputation as one of America's most haunted buildings. Since closing in 1994, much of the hospital has fallen into significant disrepair, further contributing to its ghostly aura.
Can you show yourself one more time? Did I just see you up here? Were you at the end of this hallway right here?
Number 32, Auschwitz, Poland.
Today I'm in Auschwitz-Birkenau, the largest Nazi extermination camp. Between 1940 and 1945, at least 1.1 million people were murdered here.
The scale of suffering and death that occurred at Auschwitz is just unimaginable. With about 1 million people murdered there, the aura of misery within its walls is palpable. But even if you had no idea of the camp's history, you would still find this place more than a little off. The camp's physical structures are cold and utilitarian. It is hauntingly quiet, and the likes of barbed wire, barracks, and watchtowers give off a clear prison-like atmosphere. And of course, there are the human artifacts left behind, including the likes of shoes, glasses, and suitcases with names still written on them, their owners long gone. Auschwitz is simultaneously an ordinary set of buildings and one of the most horrifying places in human history.
The gas chamber in the main camp is still preserved. It's unimaginable. Here, in this room, thousands of people suffocated in agony.
Number 31, the death zone, Mount Everest.
You can get retinal hemorrhages, you can have mini strokes, cerebral edema and pulmonary edema, where you have fluid leaking into your lungs and slowly, effectively drowning you.
The death zone refers to the areas of a mountain that go above 8,000 meters or 26,200 feet. At those altitudes, a sense of severe isolation begins to set in. Oxygen deprivation causes disorientation and hallucinations, and many climbers report feeling a surreal, almost dreamlike atmosphere in an alien landscape. That's scary enough, but Everest's death zone has multiple meanings. You see, climbers who have died in the death zone remain there to this day, as rescue in those horrid conditions is extremely difficult and dangerous. As such, they still litter the path up, their frozen corpses and bright fluorescent clothing often serving as waypoints for other climbers.
Because of the effects of global warming, the bodies are becoming more visible as the snow cover thins. This trip, we brought back 11,000 kilograms of trash and 5 bodies.
Number 30, the Overtoun Bridge, Scotland. It's hard to believe that such a beautiful location could have such a dark history. Completed in the mid-1890s, the Overtoun Bridge in Weston, Bartonshire, Scotland operated smoothly for decades, until a strange phenomenon started occurring. Several dogs began leaping from the structure to their own demise, which eventually earned it the nickname the Bridge of Death.
It was a normal Sunday afternoon, beautiful day, and it just leapt right over the bridge.
One occurrence is tragic enough, but theories started flying once the incidents became semi-regular. Some locals speculate that the sense of nearby animals may be luring the canines to jump, while others believe that something more supernatural is at play. Regardless of the cause, we recommend keeping your pooch on a short leash if you choose to walk this path.
According to some reports, over 50 dogs in 50 years have jumped from the side of the Overtoun Bridge.
Number 29, the Hanging Coffins, the Philippines.
Hanging coffins is a traditional way of burial here in Sagada. It's been practiced for about 400 to 500 years.
Burial practices vary widely across societies all over the globe. While some choose to bury or cremate their dead, others embrace more unconventional methods. The rituals in Sagada, Philippines have been taking place for thousands of years. Elderly members carve out their coffins, and when they pass, they're added to a rock wall filled with other suspended sarcophagi.
Apart from protecting the living, it is also believed that the vertical burial brings the dead closer to their ancestral spirits in heaven and makes them one with nature.
The result is visually unsettling yet breathtaking, serving as a poignant reminder of the brevity of life and how one can be celebrated even after dying. While this practice isn't carried out for everyone, it remains a staple in the culture. It's undeniably unique, but it's still chilling to see an individual's final resting place in such a precarious position. Number 28, El Caminito del Rey, Spain.
The world's most dangerous path, the world's most treacherous, the world's most deadly.
This is perfect for the adrenaline junkies in your life. Hiking is a physically strenuous activity, even on the most well-preserved trails. Things get even harder when the walkway is crumbling to pieces. El Caminito del Rey, a passage along the side of a gorge in Malaga, Spain, was built in the 1900s and began to fall apart less than a century later. But that did not deter adventurers from attempting to cross it. Some sections had completely broken off, causing hikers to jump over large gaps. The trail was so dangerous that several deaths occurred over time. While it has since reopened with new safety measures, we still wouldn't recommend this trek. especially if you're scared of heights.
Just when you think it can't get any scarier, at the highest point of the trail, there's a glass-bottomed viewing platform.
Number 27, Christ of the Abyss, Italy. There are a few different versions of this sculpture around the globe, but for this list, we're focusing on the Italian original. The statue was sculpted by Guido Galletti and placed in the Mediterranean Sea in 1954, where it has since become a popular attraction for both sightseers and divers. The piece depicts Jesus Christ with his hands lifted up in a sign of peace. While it's undeniably beautiful, there's also something haunting about it. The effect is heightened by its unusual placement underwater, as well as its proximity to the location where an Italian diver had unfortunately drowned. The fact that it can be viewed in reverence or discomfort is proof of how effective the art is. Number 26, Bhangarh Fort, India. There are plenty of fables behind the older sites found on Earth, and this is no exception.
So there are branches that shake, there are leaves that rustle, and it definitely creates a very spooky kind of a voice.
Bhangarh Fort was constructed in 1573 and had a small town within it. Even today, there are still remnants of temples and palaces within its walls. There are several legends behind this fort and how it came to fall. One tells the tale of a holy man who believed his home should be the tallest, lest it lead to the village's destruction. Another suggests a priest used black magic to curse the town after a princess accidentally killed him while denying his advances.
Things didn't work out, and then there was a curse that the tantric actually put on the people there, and he ensured that that place gets into ruins.
While these stories obviously have not been corroborated, they're still the closest thing to an explanation as to how this formidable citadel fell. Number 25, Hoya Forest, Romania. As if Transylvania wasn't frightening enough already. Besides being the home of some iconic fictional monsters, it's also home to the very real Hoya Forest.
We went there, and there's a little circle in the middle of the forest where no vegetation grows, no trees, and that circle is said to be a portal to the spirit world.
It's considered to be the world's most haunted woodland, which has only added to its creepy allure over the years. With the eerie, almost unnatural curved trees and general ominous vibe, it's no wonder it's gotten such an intense reputation. Some visitors have reported experiencing strange symptoms after visiting, including nausea and paranoia. While there isn't any concrete evidence of ghosts in the area, that hasn't affected its standing among lovers of the paranormal.
You can hear like a there's like a sub-frequency noise. I hear this with my own ears and I'm just paralyzed. I'm staring in the woods. I don't know what's going on.
The woods are so visually strange that you'll feel uncomfortable even if you don't see any specter. Number 24, the Catacombs of Paris, France.
Just below the surface of the City of Light lurks a mysterious darkness.
Much like Sagada in the Philippines, Paris also had an unorthodox way of honoring their dead. The massive underground ossuary known as the Catacombs extends across the city and houses the remains of over 6 million people. It was created to store those who couldn't fit in cemeteries, preserving them in a striking yet unnerving manner.
In the Parisian catacombs, very often bones have been rearranged, made into even sculptural sort of forms. In many ways, this conflicts with that Christian idea of keeping the body together.
Here, the remains of all, from commoners to aristocrats, were laid to rest. Originally a place for novelty shows, it eventually morphed into the macabre attraction it is today. The renovators spared no effort in maximizing the creep factor with menacing signs and a room full of deformed skulls. Everything about this landmark makes for a stomach-turning tour that you'll never forget. Number 23, the Cecil Hotel, USA.
The Cecil was a very deceiving hotel. There's a lot of beauty to it, but it was the complete opposite.
It's the Heartbreak Hotel, but not because relationships have ended here. Now known as Stay on Main, this once lavish location became the source of countless catastrophes throughout the 20th and 21st centuries. Within its walls, several lives have been ended, which have overshadowed any potential positive aspects. Even more, some notorious serial killers, including Richard Ramirez, once made the establishment their temporary residence. Among the most recent tragedies was the 2013 case of Elisa Lam, a young woman who mysteriously died shortly after she was filmed in the hotel's elevator.
She exits to the left of the elevator, and then all of a sudden she's gone.
It was later converted into low-income housing, but it remained plagued by various issues. As of 2024, the property is up for sale, and it's unsure what its future will hold.
For some reason, that hotel had some extra bit of insanity. going on within those walls.
Number 22, the Tower of London, England.
For almost 1,000 years, this revered landmark has been at the center of the grand drama that is English history.
Not only is it one of the oldest buildings in England, it's also supposedly one of the most haunted. Erected in 1066, the Tower of London initially started as a symbol of an oppressive government. It underwent various transformations over the years, with the most famous iteration being a prison and execution chamber.
The tower was witness to bloody deeds, terrible torment, and unbearable suffering.
One of the most ghastly incidents was the alleged murder of 2 young princes. This, along with other unsavory happenings, helped shape its reputation among locals and visitors. It's said that these victims, along with other famous historical figures, haunt it to this day. While there is no official evidence, numerous first-hand accounts from both employees and tourists describe ghostly activity.
As the ancient stage for dramas of cruelty, ambition, and revenge, the tower is said to be the most haunted castle in England.
Number 21, the Hill of Crosses, Lithuania. While it's intended to be a place of remembrance, its disturbing nature and the sheer amount of offerings have made it into an unintentionally terrifying place.
The tradition of leaving crosses began in 1831 to commemorate those who had fallen in a rebellion against Russia.
This field, located in Lithuania, is filled with crosses and other Catholic memorabilia. The exact amount of effigies isn't known, but the number exceeded 100,000 in 2006, so you can only imagine how many more there are now. The site was nearly destroyed during Soviet occupation by the KGB, who deemed it a contradiction to their beliefs. Despite their efforts, the site endured, serving not only as a religious and political piece, but also as a reminder of the indomitable human spirit. Number 20, the Edinburgh Vaults, Scotland. Inside the arches of South Bridge, built across a valley in Scotland's capital city in the 1780s, are dark, damp chambers once used as taverns, workshops, and storage spaces for the business above. However, once the businesses left, Edinburgh's poorest residents moved into the vaults, and they became dens of illegal activity, even being used by body snatchers. Eventually, the vaults were closed down and forgotten about for over a century. Today, organized tours take visitors through the chambers, but they should still beware the malevolent spirits that supposedly roam the halls. Number 19, the Great Blue Hole, Belize. Belize's Great Blue Hole isn't the only marine sinkhole in the world, but it is the largest, at 1,000 feet wide and over 400 feet deep. Several divers have become lost and died inside it. In fact, a 2019 expedition to the bottom discovered 2 bodies of long-lost divers. Not only is the hole dangerous to inexperienced divers, but also to the sea life around it. The bottom is so full of hydrogen sulfide that life can't survive inside for long. Unfortunately, many reef-dwelling crabs learned that lesson firsthand. Number 18, Montpelier Hill, also known as the Hellfire Club, Ireland. A sinister, derelict building stands at the top of Montpelier Hill near Dublin, Ireland. This foreboding location was once the hunting lodge home to one branch of the infamous Hellfire Club. Hellfire clubs existed across the British Isles as bases for societal elites in the 1700s to engage in all kinds of debauched and potentially even violent practices. The organization remains somewhat mysterious to this day thanks to the secrecy surrounding it. So it's not clear exactly what happened during its meetings. But while we don't know whether the darkest tales of horrifying rituals are true or not, it's been said that this Hellfire Club spot supposedly hosts a number of spirits. Number 17, Alcatraz Federal Penitentiary, USA. For 30 years, Alcatraz was an ominous presence on a lonely island in the middle of the San Francisco Bay. Since it was in a relatively isolated position, it was frequently cited as totally inescapable.
Is it true no one's ever bust out of here? So they tell me.
And although 3 people notably did escape in 1962, they were never seen again after leaving the island.
After squeezing through this cement wall, they climbed up a network of pipes and plumbing before they made it here to the roof.
Even while it was still in use, Alcatraz was a dangerous, decaying place. Its prisoners were often mistreated since it was designed to feel as hostile as possible. Though it's been shuttered for far longer than it was ever in operation, that hostile atmosphere persists. Today, you can tour the prison and experience its horrors, and many alleged ghosts, for yourself.
Damn it, Morris, I said get up!
Christ!
Number 16. Loftus Hall, Ireland. It's been named the most haunted house in Ireland for a scarily good reason. Located in County Wexford, its most famous ghost story involves a visit from the devil himself. He apparently arrived one evening to play cards until his identity was revealed.
The dark stranger had kicked off his shoes, and instead of regular feet there, he had cloven hooves.
Satan supposedly flew up through the ceiling and left a hole that remains today. For about a decade, Loftus Hall was open to brave souls who wanted to go on a ghost tour. There were even overnight stays offered for anybody desperate enough to test their mettle. In 2020, it was put on sale for a hefty sum of around $3 million. Now it waits for a new owner to purchase its hallowed halls. Number 15. Houska Castle, the Czech Republic. This creepy castle has long been rumored to be built over an actual entrance to hell. Naturally, this has given the castle a nearly unmatched reputation for supernatural entities. You'll find it just outside Prague, open to all visitors brave enough to enter. It was built around 800 years ago and has been home to many royals and nobles over the centuries. The so-called Gateway to Hell is an enormous, supposedly bottomless pit that the castle was constructed over the top of. The pit was deemed so horrific that, according to legends, prisoners were sent to investigate it and returned with stories of indescribable horrors. Number 14. The Stanley Hotel, USA. Master of horror Stephen King stayed in this hotel in 1974 when he and his wife were the only guests in the entire place. This spooky atmosphere served as the inspiration for The Shining, the novel that was later adapted to film and became one of Stanley Kubrick's scariest movies.
I want you to like it here. I wish we could stay here forever and ever.
Just knowing that the Stanley was the inspiration behind the Overlook Hotel will send a chill down your spine. Located in the Rocky Mountains in Colorado, the hotel is supposedly haunted by numerous ghosts.
Jack, there's someone else in the hotel with us. There's a crazy woman in one of the rooms. She tried to strangle Danny.
It's become a prime destination for paranormal tourism since the book was released. Stay the night at the Stanley, if you dare.
Is this a haunted hotel?
I do think it's very active. Everyone has their own experiences, but you'll have to come here to experience it for yourself.
Number 13. Poveglia Island, Italy. Known as one of the most haunted spots in Europe, Poveglia Island has a long and gruesome history that dates back centuries. It first began to gain its reputation in the late 18th century when it was used to quarantine victims of various diseases. It's reported that over 100,000 people passed away and were buried and/or cremated on the island. To make matters creepier, an asylum was constructed there in the 20th century. While Poveglia is closed to visitors today, the derelict asylum still stands. The Venetian government has been looking for someone to redevelop it, but nobody has yet been bold enough to sign the lease. Number 12. Bran Castle, Romania.
Help me.
Long before the Stanley Hotel inspired a horror legend, Bran Castle may have inspired another scary icon.
You are now inside the most popular and famous tourist attraction in Romania.
Located in Transylvania, Romania, Bran Castle has built an entire business around the claim that it was the basis of Bram Stoker's Dracula. While there isn't actually much evidence for this, or the claim that Vlad the Impaler stayed there, it still can be a terrifying destination. Many deaths occurred within the castle walls due to its use as a hospital in the Second World War. Whether you believe Bran Castle was the true home of Count Dracula or not, it's still an impressive and intimidating fortress right in the heart of vampire country. Number 11. Sedlec Ossuary, the Czech Republic. On the outside, the Czech Republic's Cemetery of All Saints seems like any other quaint small-town cemetery. But underneath, it looks like a serial killer's lair.
In a small town outside Prague, there is a church adorned with the skeletons of at least 40,000 people. Assembled in the 1800s, each bone was stacked by a single woodcarver. The bones are of people who wanted to be buried on holy land, and this peaceful chapel is their final resting place.
The Sedlec Ossuary is located below the Cemetery of All Saints in Sedlec, Czech Republic, and it contains the skeletons of up to 70,000 people. The bones are artistically arranged to form various attractions and furnishings, including a chandelier composed of every bone in the human body. The area has been a desirable burial site since the 13th century, and it contains many victims of the Black Death and Hussite Wars.
These bones had to go somewhere, and so the people doing the work started stacking them in the basement in this chapel. And here they stayed for nearly half a millennium.
The ossuary itself was built around 1400 to house the bones of those buried on the property in mass graves. Number 10. Aokigahara Forest, Japan. This woodland in Japan has an extremely distressing reputation. It's widely known as a place where people frequently take their own lives.
あそこに1台、数ヶ月前から置きっぱなしの車がありますんで。
In an attempt to combat this disturbing trend, the local authorities have put up messages encouraging people to think again about what they intend to do. Dozens of people each year sadly lose their lives when they journey into these woods. However, it's never been entirely clear why the forest has seen so much tragedy.
食べ物なんかあるんですか？
あります。
そうですか。
どうもすみません。
いえいえいえ。変な気を起こしてんじゃなければね。
Many people believe that it may have roots in Japanese folklore. While the forest itself is beautiful, the history of what's happened there is decidedly dark. Number 9. Chillingham Castle, England. The suitably named Chillingham Castle is certainly chilling, all right.
Is it haunted? I've heard that it's haunted.
I mean, the whole castle is wonderfully haunted, and we're very happy with it, and they're happy with us.
So you're not at all bothered by the ghosts, supposed ghosts that are here?
They're not supposed, they're all for real.
Located in northern Northumberland, this medieval castle dates back to the 12th century, when it served as a monastery. It was even visited by King Edward I of England in the late 13th century, when he was traveling to fight William Wallace. It's said to be the most haunted castle in all of Britain, known primarily for its resident Blue Boy.
Am I right in saying this, that he was supposed to be buried alive in the walls?
Guests would supposedly hear a loud wailing noise and witness a blue halo floating above their beds. However, the hauntings have reportedly stopped after renovation work uncovered the bones of a young boy buried within the walls.
I'm behind the wall! That man was locked here with me! He was locked here with me! I didn't want him here!
Number 8. Snake Island, Brazil. You can probably guess what occupies Snake Island. Ilha da Queimada Grande is a small 106-acre island located off the southeastern corner of Brazil. It's inhabited by untold number of snakes, who became trapped on the island once rising sea levels cut it off from the mainland. It remains the only place on Earth to host the endangered golden lancehead, a highly venomous pit viper that devours birds.
And when showers roll in, birds dive under the canopy of the forest, looking for shelter.
It's estimated that up to 4,000 golden lanceheads reside on the island. Snake Island cannot be visited by citizens, both to protect the endangered snakes from prying eyes and the humans from becoming snake victims. The only people allowed there are select researchers and members of the Brazilian Navy. Number 7. Yungas Road, Bolivia. Health and safety? Psha. Yungas Road is located in Bolivia, linking the city of La Paz to the greater Yungas region.
Del camino de mulas al camino de automóviles.
Chillingly nicknamed the Road of Death, Yungas Road was famous for its complete lack of safety precautions. The road itself is very thin, which doesn't allow for many mistakes. There are no guardrails, the slopes are steep, and the area is regularly hit by heavy rain and fog cover, making travel an extremely dangerous expedition.
God almighty, that is high.
A new road has been built for driving, but Yungas remains a popular tourist destination owing to its stellar mountain biking, even though 18 cyclists have died on the route since 1998.
Todos los días es diferente. Tenemos lluvia, nieve, a veces todas las estaciones en un solo día.
Number 6. Catacombe de Cappuccini, Italy. Forget the Paris catacombs. These catacombs, located in Palermo, Sicily, originated in the 16th century when monks excavated crypts below the overpopulated Capuchin monastery.
A crypt was created for the wealthiest priest by the archpriest of the time.
That's him. He's Giovanni Scalenza, quite rich person, very important.
It soon became a status symbol to be buried within the Capuchin catacombs, and it was maintained through donations paid by the rich relatives of the entombed. It's estimated that the catacombs contain 8,000 corpses and 1,252 mummies, all of which are visible to the public and even set in various poses.
Was sealed for 8 months while the corpses drained.
Then they were washed with vinegar and stuffed with straw. Finally, they were dressed in their clothes and placed in the corridors of the catacombs.
Each of the bodies are categorized into different sections of the catacombs, including men, women, and children. The catacombs are also famous for hosting Rosalia Lombardo, a 1-year-old child whose preserved body remains in exceptional condition.
The catacombs received their most cherished saint in 1920, when the body of a little girl was brought in by her family. She had been mummified by a secret process which to this day remains a mystery even to the Capuchin monks.
Number 5. The Door to Hell, Turkmenistan. Turns out the door to hell exists, and it's located in Turkmenistan.
I was looking down, I was looking around, and it looked like a doorway to hell.
The village of Dervaza is home to the Darvaza gas crater, which was unintentionally created in 1971 while Soviet engineers were drilling for oil. Fearing the release of dangerous methane gas, the engineers decided to light the crater on fire in the hopes of burning off the methane. The crater has continued to burn throughout the decades and shows no signs of slowing down. So now, in the middle of the catacomb desert, there is a 100-foot deep crater that is persistently on fire. Naturally, the site is off-limits to both tourists and almost all documentarians. You wouldn't want to get pulled into hell, would you?
Because if you're gonna go dine with the devil, you might as well make some s'mores too, right?
Number 4. Belitz-Heilstätten, Germany. Abandoned and deteriorating hospitals are inherently creepy places, never mind one with such a rich and disturbing history.
What is it exactly that you are looking for?
I had a problem with my tooth.
What tooth?
Actually, it's feeling much better if you could just point me in the direction of my room.
Located in Belitz, Germany, this large hospital complex encompasses around 60 different buildings. The hospital was originally used as a tuberculosis sanatorium before it was converted to a war hospital. During World War I, it housed injured soldiers of the Imperial German Army, including Adolf Hitler after he was wounded at the Battle of the Somme. It was later occupied by the Red Army throughout World War II and remained a Soviet military hospital well into the 90s. Most of the complex is now a derelict ghost town, having been completely abandoned in 1994.
Do you know what the cure for the human condition is? Disease.
Number 3. Centralia, USA.
50 years ago, when coal was king, Centralia, Pennsylvania was a boom town. People were optimistic, jobs were plentiful, and the future seemed bright.
There's an area of Pennsylvania that has essentially been on fire since 1962. In the early 60s, Centralia hosted roughly 1,500 residents, but the area suffered a horrific coal mine fire that is estimated to keep burning for another 250 years.
Regardless of how it happened, this fire quickly grew out of control. Remember, this wasn't just a small shaft, too. The coal mines in the area were all interconnected, and it was an enormous labyrinth under the town of Centralia.
The major detrimental effects weren't really known until 1981, when a sinkhole randomly opened and nearly killed a 12-year-old boy. The government bought out most of the residents and had them relocated, leaving just 63 people by 1990. Today, the town hosts under a dozen citizens, and various signs are littered throughout the area warning of sudden ground collapse and fatal levels of carbon monoxide. A graffiti highway that became a destination spot in the area has been paved over as of 2020.
The former ruins of Highway 61 remain, now known as the Graffiti Highway, literally covered with spray paint dating back to the 70s and 80s.
Number 2. The Island of the Dolls, Mexico. Turns out there are many areas throughout the world populated by dolls. There's a village in Japan called Nagoro, which has become a famous tourist attraction due to its countless life-size dolls.
It takes 2 days to prepare and make each scarecrow, and now there are 350 of these mannequins, way outnumbering the 10 villagers left here.
But perhaps the freakiest of all is Mexico City's La Isla de las Muñecas, which is located in the canals of Xochimilco. The island contains hundreds of dolls, most of which are hung from the trees.
It looks like a scene from a horror movie. Hundreds of dolls strung up and hanging from trees.
Legend states that the spirit of a young girl haunted the island, forcing its owner to hang dolls from the trees to appease her ghost.
He found the dolls in the canals and in the trash. He started hanging them up to protect him and to try to scare away the spirit of the girl.
The owner passed away in 2001, and the island became a popular tourist destination, even though some locals refused to go there owing to superstition. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Pripyat, Ukraine.
Уважаемые товарищи, городской совет народных депутатов сообщает, что в связи с аварией на Чернобыльской атомной электростанции в городе Припяти складывается неблагоприятная радиационная обстановка.
Now here's a ghost town. Pripyat is what was called a nuclear city, housing the employees of the nearby Chernobyl nuclear power plant. It was the home of thousands of citizens until the power plant famously exploded on the morning of April 26, 1986, spreading an unbelievable amount of radiation into the area, including Pripyat.
In the instant the lid is thrown off the reactor, oxygen rushes in. It combines with hydrogen and superheated graphite. The chain of disaster is now complete.
The town was not immediately evacuated, despite dozens of people falling ill and showing signs of acute radiation sickness. The evacuation was finally ordered 36 hours after the blast, and the city remains abandoned for long-term residents. Although governmental authorities still did work in the area, and there is now limited tourism. It's now part of the wider Chernobyl exclusion zone.
Evidence in the form of mild nuclear radiation had already reached beyond the Soviet borders to Scandinavia.
Have you ever been to any of these places? Did it give you the willies? Let us know in the comments below.